No mortal should ever touch the mantle of a god. The madness of Rome was not a fever. It was a poison, drawn from the well of absolute power. The Republic was dead, replaced by the ghost of a divine bloodline, the Julii. They believed in the sanctity of their lineage, a lie they paid for in blood. Gaius, the last son, was raised in the shadow of Tiberius, on Capri. He learned fear as a child. He watched the world with the patience of a spider, waiting for his moment. And the moment came. The Emperor is dead. The masses saw a savior. The senators saw a puppet. Both were fatally wrong. Then came the attachment that changed everything. His sister, Drusilla. A bond not merely of family, but of shared blood. Power, unchecked, is a narcotic. Paranoia began small. A whispered slight, a glance held too long. Every friend was a potential traitor. Every flatterer, a dagger waiting for the back. To be safe, he reasoned, one must be elevated. I am not a man, he declared. I am a god made flesh. And with this declaration, the true rituals began. The dark heart of his reign. The first victims were dissenters. The second was simply unfortunate. Cruelty became his greatest art, an expression of his divine will. Let them hate me, so long as they fear me. He sought to strip them of dignity, to make them as dogs before the divine Caesar.
The wives, the sisters, the daughters.
He saw himself as Hercules, then as Mars, then as the sun itself, sole invictor. He loved the horse more than any man. The animal was pure, untainted by politics. He granted his horse a Senate seat, a gesture of contempt for the very institution of Rome. Strike me down! He drained Rome's coffers to fuel his vanity. The money came from confiscations. The fear trickled down. To oppose him was to vanish. Even the Praetorians, his personal guard, grew weary of the unpredictable terror. The man closest to him held the greatest danger. The death toll was a testament to his imagination. Each execution, a new drama. They drank, they feasted, they laughed, all while counting the number of days they had left. He no longer recognized the boy who inherited the purple. The mask was the face. But every dynasty, even a god's, carries the seed of its own destruction. Conspiracy was born in shadow, among men who had nothing left to lose but their lives. Cassius Caria, humiliated by the emperor. Cornelius Sabinus, pushed to the breaking point. The weapon against a god is not a word. It is cold steel. The Emperor, too, felt the change in the air. The unnatural stillness before a great storm. The 4th year of his reign. The time of the harvest. Spectacle. A momentary lapse in security. The one chance they would be given. Opportunity. Chaos. The passage was narrow. The Emperor was exposed. And the steel was ready. He waited at the turning point. For the god to become a man again.
A final, terrible moment of recognition.
This is for the dignity of Rome.
Struck him 30 times for the Empire, for the fear, for themselves.
The god was dead. The man had never truly lived. The assassins had done their work. But the ghost of the poison remained. Rome had killed one tyrant, only to discover it could not live without a master.
The Praetorians made a new emperor that night. Not by will, but by accident.
Accident, fate, accident.
The same blood that anointed the madman now consecrated the scholar.
Sisters of the tyrant were also removed. The purge was absolute. The empire, vast and cold, absorbed the shock. The madness was a chapter. The lesson unspoken. The historians, in time, would try to frame the terror, to give it a clean boundary. But the truth resists framing. The horror was personal, intimate. What would his father, Germanicus, the true hero, have thought of the final product?
They called him Caligula, Little Boot, a soldier's nickname, a name of simple love.
The men who served him, who saw the day-to-day horror, carried their own burdens. A mistake was not a lapse. People who once cheered learned to fear the lavish spectacle.
The debate in the aristocracy. Cooperate or conspire? The lines blurred.
Some turned back to the old gods, begging for an end to the blasphemy in the flesh.
The new regime was one of caution, but the shadows of the past were long. Damnatio Memoria.
The effort to erase a life, a name, a reign. Eradication. But memory is stubborn. The void left by the monster was a presence in itself. Stubborn memory. Void.
Campaigns in Germania and Britain were aborted. The Emperor's childish games replaced strategy.
Gather your spoils.
The humiliation was not just cruelty. It was the forced participation in the madness. Forced participation. Humiliation.
His life was an opera of excess. An architectural challenge to the sea itself.
The toll on resources and men was catastrophic.
For a single, vain moment.
Meanwhile, Rome's great thinkers were silenced. The world of ideas was a threat.
The only escape from the terror was internal. A retreat to the mind's fortress.
Even Drusilla, his beloved, seemed to recoil from the dark shape her brother had become. His loneliness, fueled by his divinity.
Emperor, god, and prisoner, all in one room, pacing out his final days.
The fear of discovery was now less than the fear of letting him live.
0 hour, necessity.
The agreement was made. The morning after the play. The path was clear.
They were opening the gate to a different world. A world without the monster.
The last sound he would hear. The adulation of the very people he had mocked.
The last, simple moment of a man about to meet his history.
He wore the armor of a god, but it offered no protection against mortal hate.
The signet falls to the ground. The final touch of gold leaves the hand of the tyrant.
Promise of divine blood, proven to be only mortal. Mortal, final proof.
Not all were conspirators. Some merely watched, paralyzed by the sudden shift in power.
Even in death, the image of the god must not be allowed to defile the street.
Dragged to an unmarked, hasty grave. The anonymity of a common criminal.
The reckoning began instantly. The scramble to deny friendship, patronage, and guilt.
Lies are cheap. History is only written by the survivors.
The scholar was now the master. But the lesson of Caligula was heavy on his shoulder. The foundations of the empire had cracked. The madness was now part of the stone. His reign was a brief, violent fever dream. What is a king without a throne? A god without a worshipper? The bureaucracy of the state, cold and persistent, endured the shock. The next generation would grow up with the ghost of the story, learning it as a cautionary tale. The silent art and architecture of the age bore. The empire stretched far beyond one man's madness. It always does. The small, almost forgotten luxury.
The torch of absolute power is always the first to be extinguished.
The surface was clean. The depth of the corruption remained.
Surface, depth, corruption. The new master understood.
The paranoia, once banished, never truly leaves the room. It only changes host.
The guard is stronger. The walls are thicker. But the heart of the beast is unchanged.
Gaius Caesar. A simple initial. A small, persistent defiance of erasure. Rome continued. The sun rose and set, heedless of the mortal madness that stained its stones. To remember the horror is the last, necessary act of resistance. All that remains is the city. Space where the god fell. Forever marked. Forever silent. And the blood waits for the next Caesar. Silence. Finality.